They say 1 second can change your life. 1 second to look away from the road, 1 second to say, I do, 1 second to pull a trigger. For me, it was the second I opened the back door of a black BMW 7 Series. I thought it was my Uber. I was tired, dead on my feet. I just worked a 14-hour shift in the ER, stitching up drunks and holding the hands of dying grandmothers. My brain wasn't working. My eyes were blurry. I saw a black car. I opened the door. I got in. And I fell asleep. I didn't know that the leather seat I was drooling on cost more than my student loans. I didn't know that the shoulder I leaned my head against belonged to the most dangerous man in Seoul. Jae-won Kong, the dragon of the north, the man the police couldn't catch and the rivals couldn't kill. And I, Destiny Williams, a nurse from Detroit who just wanted to go home and eat leftover pizza, I just made him my pillow. Wait, I know what you're thinking. Girl, you stupid. Who gets in a car without checking the license plate? Look, I know, okay? I watched Dateline. I know the rules. But exhaustion is a drug. And that night, I was high on it. If I had known who was in that car, I would have walked home in the rain. Actually, no. If I had known what was going to happen, the blood, the passion, the nights where I didn't know if I was going to be kissed or killed, I probably would have gotten in the car anyway. The rain in Seoul isn't like the rain in Detroit. In Detroit, it's cold, it's miserable. In Seoul, during monsoon season, it's angry. It hammers against the pavement like 1,000 tiny drummers. I pushed through the automatic doors of Memorial Hospital, my dark green scrubs clinging to my skin. The humidity hit me like a wet towel. 12 hours, actually 14. 2 codes, 1 car accident, and a grandmother who screamed at me because the Jell-O wasn't red. My feet felt like they were encased in concrete. I stood under the awning, fumbling for my phone. The screen was wet, my fingers were slippery. Your ride is 2 minutes away, black sedan. I looked up. Through the sheets of water, I saw it. A sleek black car idling in the pickup zone. Thank you, Jesus, I whispered. I didn't run. I couldn't run. I did a sort of exhausted shuffle jog through the puddles, soaking my socks instantly. I reached the car. I yanked the handle. The air inside was warm, dry. It smelled like sandalwood and expensive cologne, and something sharp like gunpowder, though I didn't recognize that smell then. Maple Street Apartments, I mumbled, throwing my bag on the floor and collapsing into the leather seat. And please, just drive, I'm begging you. I didn't check the driver. I didn't check the passenger seat. I just closed my eyes, and the darkness took me. Let me tell you this part from his side, because he told me later. Jae-won Kong does not like surprises. He has survived 3 assassination attempts. He checks every room he enters. He has a driver, Min-jun, who is a former Special Forces sniper. So when a random woman in scrubs yanked open his door and threw herself into his sanctuary, Jae-won froze. His hand went to the Glock 19 inside his jacket. Min-jun in the front seat stiffened. He watched the rearview mirror, waiting for the order. 1 nod, and I would be a stain on the upholstery. Sir, Min-jun whispered in Korean, do I end it? Jae-won looked at me. He saw the dark circles under my eyes, the ID badge clipped to my scrubs that said registered nurse, the tiny spot of dried blood on my sleeve that wasn't mine, and then I did the unthinkable. The car turned a corner, my head lolled to the side, and I landed squarely on Jae-won Kong's shoulder. He stiffened. He could have pushed me off. He could have woken me up with a gun to my temple. But he didn't. He sat there, a man who commanded an army of killers, a man who made politicians tremble, and he became a pillow for a tired nurse. Drive, he told Min-jun quietly. Where, sir? Just drive. Let her sleep. I woke up because the engine stopped. My body felt heavy, relaxed. It It was the best nap I'd had in 3 years. I stretched, yawning. 5 stars. Best Uber ever. I opened my eyes, and I found myself looking directly into the face of a god, or a devil, I wasn't sure yet. He was staring at me, dark eyes, black as obsidian, with no whites visible in the dim light, high cheekbones that could cut glass, a jawline that looked carved from marble, and he was close, so close I could feel his breath. "Did you have a nice nap?" he asked. His voice was like velvet wrapped around a razor blade, smooth, deep, dangerous. My brain rebooted. Wait, Uber drivers aren't this hot. Uber drivers don't wear Armani suits. Uber drivers don't have bodyguards in the front seat. I sat up so fast I hit my head on the ceiling. Ow! Oh my God! I scrambled against the door. "Who are you? Where am I?" "You are outside your apartment," he said calmly. "Maple Street." I looked out the window. It was my building. I looked back at him. You're not my Uber." "No." "And I just slept on you?" "For 45 minutes. You drool slightly when you enter REM sleep." I touched my mouth, mortified. I am so sorry. I thought the car looked." "It is a common mistake," he said, though we both knew it wasn't. "Go home, Miss Williams." He knew my name. "How do you know my name?" He pointed to my badge. "Destiny," he read, a heavy name for such a careless woman. "I'm not careless. I'm tired. Go, before I decide to charge you for the ride." I scrambled out of that car like my pants were on fire. I stood on the sidewalk in the rain, watching the black taillights disappear. My phone buzzed. "Uber, your driver canceled. Reason, rider did not show." I shivered. I had just survived something. I didn't know what, but I felt it in my bones. 3 days. I spent 3 days looking over my shoulder. Every black car made me jump. Every time my phone rang, my heart stopped. I told myself to forget him. He was just a rich businessman, probably a CEO. Seoul is full of them. But I couldn't forget his eyes, the way he looked at me, like I was a puzzle he hadn't solved yet. On the 4th day, I walked out of the hospital. The black BMW was there, waiting. The back window rolled down. "Jaewon, get in," he said. "No," I said, gripping my bag. "I learned my lesson. Stranger danger." He smirked, a tiny twitch of his lips that did things to my insides. "If I wanted to hurt you, Destiny, I would have done it while you were drooling on my Italian silk suit. Get in. I have a job offer." Curiosity is a curse. I got in. "What kind of job?" I asked, sitting as far away from him as possible. "He runs a specialized business," he said. "My employees work in high-risk environments. Sometimes they get hurt. Sometimes they cannot go to a public hospital. You want me to be a mob doctor? You want me to be a private nurse for my clinic. Discretion is key. The pay..." He slid a piece of paper across the leather seat. I looked at the number. It was triple my hospital salary. Triple. "He pays student loans," he said, reading my mind. "He pays rent. He pays silence." "Is it illegal?" "The medicine is legal. The patients are complicated." I looked at him. "Why me? You could hire anyone." He turned to me. His gaze was heavy, intense. "Because you slept in the lion's den and woke up complaining about the service. You were not afraid of me. That is rare." I took the paper. "I'll try it. 1 week. If I don't like it, I walk." Agreed. The clinic was in the basement of a luxury high-rise in Gangnam. It looked like a spa, but it smelled like antiseptic and copper. My first patient was a man named Kenji. He had a laceration on his arm. "Knife site?" I asked, stitching him up. "Kitchen accident," he grunted. "Right, you slipped and fell on a machete. Twice." I finished the stitch. I cleaned the wound. Jaewon was watching from the doorway, arms crossed, analyzing. "You have steady hands," he said. I used to work in the ER in Detroit, I said. I've seen worse than kitchen accidents. For weeks, it was routine. Stitches, concussions, broken fingers. I started to relax. The money was real. The patients were polite, mostly because they were terrified of Jaewon. And Jaewon, he was always there. He'd bring me coffee, he'd sit in my office while I did paperwork. We talked, not about his business, but about music, about food. "You have never had real Korean barbecue?" he asked, looking offended. "I've had the mall court stuff." He looks like I slapped him. "Tonight, you and me, real food." "Is that a date, boss?" He looked at me. The air grew thick. "It is an education." We went to a hole-in-the-wall place. No bodyguards visible, though I knew they were there. He cooked the meat for me. He showed me how to make a lettuce wrap. He watched me eat with a look that made me feel like I was the meal. "You are different," he said softly. "Different how?" "You don't look at me like a monster. You look at me like a man." "Maybe I haven't seen the monster yet." His face darkened. "Pray you never do." I saw the monster 2 nights later. I was closing up the clinic. The elevator doors opened. Minjun, the driver, stumbled out. He was carrying Jaewon. There was blood everywhere. Jaewon's white shirt was soaked red. His face was gray. "Help him!" Minjun screamed. "Ambush! The Yoon family!" I didn't think. I moved. "Get him on the table now. Cut the shirt." I grabbed the trauma kit. Jaewon was conscious, but barely. He grabbed my wrist. His hand was slick with blood. "No hospital," he wheezed. "Shut up and let me work. You're bleeding out." It was a gunshot wound. Abdominal. Just missed the liver. "I need to extract the bullet," I told Minjun. "I need you to hold him down. We don't have general anesthesia, only local. This is going to hurt." Jaewon looked at me. His eyes were hazy, but focused. "Do it," he growled. I went in. The sound of metal digging into flesh, the smell of cauterized blood. Jaewon didn't scream. He made a low guttural sound in his throat. He bit through his lip. I found the bullet. I pulled it out. Clink. It hit the metal tray. "I got it. I'm stitching. Stay with me, Jaewon. Stay with me." I worked for 2 hours. When I finished, I was covered in his blood. My hands were shaking. He was asleep, stable. I sat on the floor and cried. Not because I was scared, but because when I saw him bleeding, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just his nurse anymore. I was in love with him. He woke up at dawn. I was sitting in the chair next to his bed, watching the monitors. He turned his head. He looked at me. "Destiny, you're alive," I said, wiping my face. "You idiot." He reached out his hand. I took it. He pulled me closer. "You saved me." "That's my job." "No," he whispered. "You saved me." He pulled me down. His lips tasted like blood and painkillers. But the kiss, it was desperate. It was a promise. "You are mine now," he whispered against my lips. "No more running." I looked into his eyes, the eyes of the dragon, and I knew he was right. I was in the wrong car, but I was in the right place. There's a specific kind of silence that comes with living in a penthouse on the 50th floor. It's expensive silence. You can't hear the traffic. You can't hear the sirens. You can only hear the hum of the central air and the beating of your own treacherous heart. For 2 weeks, I didn't leave Jaewon's apartment. He was healing. I was hiding. Minjun, the driver, brought my things from my apartment. He told me, "It is not safe for you to go back, Miss Williams. The Yoon family has eyes everywhere." So I stayed. I became his nurse. I had changed his bandages. I had checked his vitals. But I also became something else. We existed in a bubble. Jaewon wasn't the dragon of the north in that apartment. He was a man who liked dark chocolate. He was a man who watched documentaries about the ocean. He was a man who would pull me onto the sofa, careful of his stitches, and bury his face in my neck just to breathe. "You smell like peace," he whispered one night. I smell like antiseptic and cocoa butter, I laughed. Peace, he insisted. But bubbles pop, and ours popped with a phone call. I was in the kitchen making tea. Jaewon was on the balcony. He was shirtless, the scar on his abdomen pink and healing. He was yelling. I had never heard him yell. It was cold, sharp Korean. He hung up, he threw the phone, it shattered against the wall. He walked in. His face was a mask of stone. The eyes, the warm amber eyes I had fallen for, were gone. These were the eyes of the killer. What happened? I asked. The Yoon family, he said. They know who stitched me up. They know about the clinic. He walked over to me. He gripped my shoulders, hard. They know about you. Now, look, I'm from Detroit. I know what beef is, but mafia beef, that's different. In Detroit, if you got beef, you watch your back. In Seoul, if the mafia has beef with you, they don't just come for you. They erase you. They freeze your bank accounts. They burn your house. They send you a message that makes you wish you were dead before they even touch you. The message arrived the next morning. A package, addressed to me, delivered to the lobby. Inside was a stethoscope, my stethoscope, the one I left at the hospital. It was twisted into a knot, and wrapped around it was a lock of hair. My hair, from my hairbrush in my old apartment. They had been in my house. Jaewon took me to the panic room. It was behind a bookcase, walls lined with weapons. He cannot hide you forever, he said. If they come when I am not here, you need to be ready. He picked up a sleek black handgun. This is a Sig Sauer P365, compact, low recoil. He handed it to me. It felt cold, heavy, wrong. Jaewon, I'm a nurse, I said, my hands shaking. I save lives. I don't take them. I took an oath. Do no harm. He looked at me. He stepped closer, wrapping his hands around mine, guiding my grip. Destiny, he whispered. If the Yoon family comes through that door, they will not care about your oath. They will not care that you are innocent. They will hurt you to break me. He aligned the sights. Sometimes, he said, to save a life, you must take one. That is the only medicine these men understand. We spent 3 days training. My hands stopped shaking. I learned to load, to aim, to fire. I felt sick every time I pulled the trigger, but I learned. It happened on a Tuesday. Of course it was a Tuesday. Jaewon was at a meeting, a peace talk with the elders to try and buy my safety. Min-jun, the sniper, was guarding the door. I was in the bedroom, reading. Then I heard it, a thud, heavy, like a body hitting the floor. Then silence. Min-jun, I called out. No answer. Just the sound of the front lock clicking. Click, click. The door opened. I didn't scream. My training kicked in. I grabbed the gun from the nightstand. I racked the slide. I slid into the closet, leaving the door cracked just an inch. I saw them. 3 men, masks, knives, not guns. They wanted it quiet. They wanted to take me alive. Find the girl. The boss wants her pretty face for a souvenir. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a bird trapped in a cage. They moved toward the bedroom. I raised the gun. Do no harm. Do no harm. Do no harm. The closet door was ripped open. A man stood there. He smiled beneath his mask. He reached for me. Found you, little nurse. Bang. I didn't think. I just squeezed. The shot was loud, deafening in the small space. He dropped. The other 2 turned. I fired again and again. I wasn't aiming. I was screaming. Bullets hit the wall, the mirror, the window. They fled. Cowards. They weren't expecting the prey to bite back. I sat there in the closet, holding the smoking gun, staring at the man on the floor. He was bleeding. My nurse instinct screamed, help him, pressure on the wound. My survivor instinct screamed, stay down. I stayed down. Jaewon burst into the room 5 minutes later. He saw the body. He saw the blood. He saw me, curled in the corner, covered in drywall dust, shaking. He didn't say a word. He dropped to his knees and pulled me into his chest. "I got him," I whispered, numb. "I broke my oath." "No," Jaewon growled, rocking me. "You survived. You survived." He looked at the body. He looked at the broken window. And then the dragon woke up. He stood up. He picked up his phone. "Minjin is down. Get the cleanup crew." He dialed a second number. "This is Kong. The peace talks are over. Burn them. Burn them all. Every warehouse, every club. Leave nothing standing." That night, Seoul burned. I watched from the penthouse window. Plumes of smoke rising from the Yun family territory. Sirens wailing across the city like a choir of ghosts. Jaewon stood behind me, his arms wrapped around my waist, his chin on my shoulder. "It is done," he said. "They will never touch you again." The next morning, the city was gray with ash. Jaewon put 2 suitcases by the door. "We have a choice," he said. I looked at him. He looked tired. He looked human. "He have destroyed my enemies," he said. "I am the king of this city now. No one will challenge me." He paused. "We can stay. You can be the queen. We can live in this penthouse. You will have everything." "But," I asked. "But," he touched my cheek, "you will always need a bodyguard. You will always need a gun in your nightstand. You will never just be a nurse again." He pointed to the suitcases. "Or we leave." "Leave?" I asked. "I have accounts in Switzerland. I have a villa in Tuscany. I have enough money for 10 lifetimes." "You would leave the mafia? You would leave your empire?" "My empire is ash," he said, looking at me. "You are the only thing I built that matters." I looked at the city, my patients, my hospital. Then I looked at the gun on the table, and I looked at the man who was willing to burn the world for me. I picked up my bag. "Do they have good coffee in Tuscany?" I asked. Jaewon smiled, the first real burden-free smile I had ever seen. "The best." We left the keys on the counter. We left the BMW at the airport. I didn't look back. Sometimes late at night, I dream about the rain in Seoul. I dream about the blood on my hands. But then I wake up. The sun is shining. The air smells like olives and sea salt. Jaewon is sleeping next to me. No gun on the nightstand, just a book. He isn't the dragon anymore. He's just Jaewon. And me? I'm not just a nurse. I'm not just a survivor. I'm the girl who got into the wrong car, and it turned out to be the only ride that mattered.